be for the video.
Okay.
And you won't need to do anything with that. That is good to go.
Even if we stop recording on Audacity?
Yeah, like we always stop recording on Audacity and the video just keeps going as like behind the scenes stuff. So
okay.
This is all on the video now, and yeah. Just remember your 5s, remember to clap at 5 seconds, and one of you guys has to say 1, 2, 3, play.
I'm gonna sit like this the whole time.
Well, you can't for hitting record, but afterwards you can get in that position. You boys have to come with me.
Goodbye.
Okay, now what do you want me to do? Okay. Brandon was like right smack in the middle of talking.
You got your quotes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do I do?
Just text me or scream at me if you need it. I'll probably be down here watching basketball.
Da, 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 da. Can I yell at you? What?
You already did.
Not on the thing.
That looks like a good one.
Okay. And then are we sure it's plugged into here?
Yep.
Are you mad?
Not mad.
He's mad.
That's okay. Join the club. Just kidding. I'm not mad. I just don't feel good.
Okay.
Do you remember half of what Brandon said?
Well, Lucas wrote the like little 5-second breaks into the thing a little bit ago, so I know where those are at.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
These headphones suck. Whatever.
I don't know how to start it. How should we start it? I feel weird with you sitting right here.
I'm just waiting till you start it so I can help you. 5 seconds to start now. Can I just leave?
No. But I don't know how to start it.
Like the intro?
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate doing the intro.
What?
Are you going paint shopping for your new house? And you're like, I like this one. And you're like, but I want one about 50 Shades Dark. That'd be fine, though. That's how I would. Brian would probably sing.
It was kind of funny.
That's good. We could just talk about your new house. We could deliver the 50 Shades Darker line.
Yeah, we actually have paint colors hanging on a wall right now.
Yeah.
So it's applicable. Oh my god. I'm like cold and hot at the same time. I better not be getting sick. Okay, we could say like we could talk about how I'm picking out paint colors for one of the rooms in the house. 50 Shades Darker. Are we going to do the whole April Fool's thing again? Or are we just rolling with...
I put welcome back to the good, the bad, the movies, and then like introduced us and to say we're back for your second annual April Fool's Day episode.
Okay, so we'll do that in the actual, not in the intro.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that intro's good. I could do that. I hate when I'm on and they're like, just riff, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Oh shit, probably average, but not great. Good idea. Thanks, homeboy. Brando.
What?
Baby cake, sweet pea.
Okay, you ready? Actually, water.
Okay. Yeah, we're as ready as we're ever gonna be, I think.
Yeah. Okay, wait. What do I do?
5 seconds.
Wait, okay, so I'll just ask you how your house is going, and you're just gonna pretend to show me your paint killers, and I'll just be like, hear me out. What about something 50 Shades Darker? And then we just do our 5-second pause and then go into the thing. Does that work? Okay.
Yeah. I meant, what do I do on...
I know.
Audacity. Like, so I click record, then wait 5 seconds, and then clap,
Click
right?
record, then wait 5 seconds, then clap.
Okay.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. I have to redo mine.
Okay, wait. Let me just redo mine. Wait, how did Brandon delete it?
Wait, hold on. I have
Shit.
to. Well, I have to do allow every
Wait,
time.
there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay.
Give me 2 seconds.
You're fine.
Because I have to be like allow every time. Oh, it's allowed to make me do it every time. Okay, go. No, what do I do? I'm sorry. I don't. It's pissing me off that it makes me do it.
You don't have. It won't ask you this.
It's not gonna ask me this time. Okay, ready? Sorry. Shit show. Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. Marina, how are
Yes.
things going with your new house?
It's really good. We're trying to pick paint colors for one of the rooms right now. We're deciding between like really light pink or like a dark pinky purple, what is that called? Like mauve. But I'm leaning towards really light pink.
Hear me out. What if you do something that's about 50 shades darker?
I'll look into it. I love it.
Okay, welcome back to The Good, the Bad, the Movies. I'm going to use my NPR voice, I think, the whole time. It's Alex and Marina, and we're back for your April Fool's Day second annual movie.
April Fools.
Yeah. And Marina, I have some questions for you.
All right, I'm ready.
Do you like cringing for 2 straight hours?
I did quite a bit in this movie, yes.
Do you like the world's most painful acting?
Also enjoyed it, yes.
And do you like creepy relationships?
Not my favorite, but don't hate it.
Well, I mean, you don't like those things, but I still have a movie I want to tell you.
I'm here for it.
We watched and made Brandon and Lucas watch the second installment of the 50 Shades of Grey franchise, which is called 50 Shades Darker.
Woo!
We're supposed to talk about what we're drinking, but I'm drinking water.
I am also drinking water.
It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm not going to drink a beer, even though it is our spring break, so I could.
Oh, you're on spring break this week?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so jealous. I was seeing everybody in Missoula's spring break pictures last week, and I was just like dying the whole time.
Yeah, ours is different than everybody else's for no reason, but that's okay.
At least you have one. I'm here still struggling.
But so for our first day of spring break, I made Lucas watch this movie. He pretended to watch it, but was actually just watching March Madness while I was watching it. So he was not actually watching.
Brandon,
I do have a couple of quotes though.
Okay. Brandon was like, I don't know if he was actually very into it, but he was so over the top with like trying to get me to quote him. So this will be interesting.
We like did the script, and while I was taking notes, Lucas was like sort of paying attention. So one of the quotes I have is him like absolutely not watching the movie, but just talking about March Madness while I was like really focused on the movie. So, but we'll get to it. But okay, well, before we get there, I will tell you a little bit about it.
Okay.
So I have a lot less background than the last time, because I told everybody a lot about all the connections with Twilight in the first one, because I was just fascinated by the fact that it was a Twilight fan fiction. And
I still can't believe that.
I think after we do our third installment, that we just keep going, because I'm convinced they're going to do this forever. So this is going to be 7 years down the road. but then I'm convinced there's going to be that many episodes. But
Yeah.
then we have to go back and do the Twilight movies because they're just as cringy as the 50 Shades movie.
That would be really good. Yesterday when we were watching the movie, Brandon was talking about what we're going to do after we do the third one, and he said we should do 365 days. But since this is a Twilight fan fiction, that would be good too.
I don't know if I can do 365 days and still haven't.
It's so much worse than this movie.
Yeah.
Apparently
But
there's like 4 of them now. But
we've
yeah, we
only
don't need to
watched
go
the
into it.
first one. Oh, okay. Well, 50 Shades Darker is the second installment of 3 50 Shades of Grey movies. And this one is directed by James Foley, who I believe Lucas helped me write the script because I'm a mess. But the director of these movies was married to the author of the books.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
What a
But
random connection.
Mm-hmm. He's directed a couple movies. I've actually never heard of any of them, and I'm pretty sure Lucas is probably screaming at me from the other room because I feel like some of these really are like movies people have heard of. But he directed At Close Range in 1986. James Foley did. Glengarry Glen Ross in 1992. Fear in 1986. The Corruptor in 1999. Perfect Stranger in 2007. And then 50 Shades Freed in 2018.
Never heard of any of them other than obviously the 50 Shades one.
Don't they all sound like they're like vaguely familiar a little bit in a way?
Yeah.
Like you should have heard of them.
Yes. Yeah.
And then maybe it's the husband who wrote the script. I don't know. The husband is involved somehow, but I didn't write it down when I wasn't paying enough attention. So the screenplay was written by Niall Leonard, who did 50 Shades Freed, and then 3 movies I've never ever heard of called Air Force One is Down, Wild at Heart, and Wire in the Blood.
Sound like they probably weren't box office hits.
I've never heard of literally any of those.
Yeah, me either.
And then our second movie looks very similar to the first one, but we do have some new characters. It's starring still Dakota Johnson as Anastasia Steele and Jamie Dornan as Christian Grey. But It's also starring Eric Johnson, Rita Ora, Luke Grimes, Victor Rasuk, and Kim Basinger.
Okay, I have actually recognized a lot of those names, but when I was watching the movie, I didn't recognize any faces. So that's weird.
Yeah, like they're definitely feel like they are actors that are in a lot of movies, but side characters in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
They're not the main. They're never the main attraction of any movie, but they're always there.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have some new characters, but still just focuses on the same 2. The plot of this movie says Christian and Anna decide to rekindle their relationship, except this time there are no more rules or punishments. As they begin to get begin to get used to their newfound relationship, Christian's past begins to haunt Anna as Christian struggles with his innermost thoughts. So there's a lot of the past coming back to haunt you, trauma-y weirdness going on.
Yes. There were, we'll get into it, but there were a lot of wild, random, unnecessary plot lines from his past.
I felt like this movie was, it definitely, it felt like a sequel, but it's weird that there's a third one because all of this stuff definitely feels like it would be in the third movie where they ran out of stuff to put in it, and so they're just putting all of the craziest shit into one movie. But they did it for this one, and then they still made a third one.
Yeah, I'm curious to see in a year when I watch the third one what will happen. Well, you've kind of told me, but it was interesting watching this one. I had to try to remember everything that happened in the first because I hadn't watched it since last year. And then just piecing it all together, plus all the wild plot lines. I was just like,
Yeah,
this is so hard to follow.
For real. Even like having seen them before, there were so many, and I know I texted you like 100 times. I was like, oh my God, I literally like don't remember any of this stuff happening. Like I 100% was like, I definitely thought over half of the things that happened were from the third movie.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting next year to see what actually happens in the third movie.
Because by then I'll actually not remember at all. It'll all be a new experience.
Yes.
But okay. So the history, oh my God, almost knocked over my lunch.
Oh no.
That would have been super fun.
Tragic.
Then I would have had to call Luke. I would have had to call Lucas back after I shoot him away. Okay. The history of this movie says, we talked about this a little bit. Universal Pictures and Focus Features secured the rights to the trilogy in 2012, and Universal is the film's distributor. The first book of the series was adapted into a film by the same name and came out in 2015. I'm gonna skip all of the production stuff because I don't think you care. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't.
In 2014, the producer of the first film said that at that point there were no real plans to make a sequel. So they almost just made the first one, but then didn't make the other ones. But then after the first film premiered at a special fan screening in New York City, the director announced that the sequels of the other two would also be adapted. And this one was released in 2016. On March 25th, 2015, the director of the first movie left the franchise. And we talked about this, like it was a whole shit show because all of the things that she did, the author hated, remember? So they had a super, super hard time like figuring out what they actually wanted to do with the first movie. And so they had to find a new script writer and a new director. And so on April 22nd in 2015, E.L. James's husband, there it is in here. Her husband Niall Leonard wrote the script for the sequel, and then the Universal Pictures chair Donna Langley told Hollywood Reporter that the second installment would be more of a thriller.
I guess I could kind of see it as a thriller, but like I would not classify it as a thriller.
It's not like a straight up thriller.
No.
Like I was never once on the edge of my seat because it was all just too cheesy to be on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, it was so bad. So bad.
like far worse than the first one.
Yes.
But okay, then Rita Ora comes back to reprise her role. She actually got to have a song in the second movie, even though she's mostly like a singer and was acting in this movie. In the first movie, they didn't have her on the soundtrack at all, even though she's like primarily a pop artist. But she's in the soundtrack for this one. And then James Foley was hired on to direct the second film and the third film.
I was gonna ask if, since everything went down with the first movie, if the new person did the second and the third.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he directed both sequels, and they were shot back to back, so they were both shot at the same time.
Oh, that makes sense. Why, if you watched the credits, I don't know if you did or not. I just scrolled through them because I didn't want to watch all of them. But there's a preview for the third movie in the middle of the credits of the second movie.
Oh.
But if they were filmed back to back, that makes sense. Like why they already had that filmed. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of like, how did this happen? But that makes sense now.
Mm-hmm. And then the last of the history is that Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan were confirmed to return for both sequels, which makes sense because if they weren't, then they would not be able to do the movies, I guess.
Yeah.
Can you get? Wow, this is actually very surprising. Can you guess what the budget is for this movie?
Ooh, budget. I'm so bad at this, and I don't have Brandon to ask for comparison numbers. Okay, budget. 7 million. I have no idea.
Oh, it was actually more. I thought it was going to be way less than the first one. The budget for the movie was $55 million.
Okay.
And for the first one, it was $40 million. And I expected the first one to be way more because they felt like the first movie was more like, they like focused more in the first movie on making it like so polished looking.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
everything was very like sharp edges and like very sharp. Like it wasn't a black
Yeah.
and white movie, but it was like this black and whiteness of it was like very stark, which I feel
Yeah.
like they spent a lot of money to do it. But the budget was more for this one. It's $55 million.
It also feels like the first one had like way more stuff in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like this one, I feel like it was like just at his apartment or like I don't know. It didn't feel like there was like as much.
Yeah,
But,
they weren't like
okay.
traveling all over in helicopters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm convinced all of the extra money was just spent on like the big fancy parties that his parents kept throwing.
Yeah, and maybe the actors, like, since it was a sequel, they're like, if we're coming back, we want more money, maybe. I don't know. But as usual, I was way off for budget.
And box office, how much do you think it made during the opening weekend?
Okay, wait, tell me again what the budget was. 55?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to guess it, like, at least doubled it. Because I remember when this came out and everybody, like, at our age at the time was, like, obsessed with it. So I'm just going to guess 100 million.
The opening weekend, it only made 46 million.
Oh my God, I'm doing terrible.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely would have expected. But the US and Canada total is more. What do you think that was?
80 million.
It was 114 million. So you were a lot closer.
Of course.
And then
Usual.
what do you think the worldwide was box office?
Well, I guess there's like Europe and stuff. I don't feel like this made a ton of money outside of the US. We'll just say 125 million. I'm so bad.
And the 381 million.
That's fine. It's fine. I'll accept it.
So it did make a lot worldwide. So it did make a pretty good profit.
I don't feel as embarrassed with my answers when you're here as the boys, because you won't roast me like they will.
When I suck so bad at them, like I swear I literally just like, don't understand money, and so I'm like, no. I don't know. That costs like $10. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I don't have a concept. Oh no, I don't have a concept of like how much things actually cost.
No, especially in large amounts. Like when people tell me large numbers of money, my brain can't compute.
Last year I made you read the tagline, and now I might have to read the tagline.
Can you hold it up to the screen? Or maybe I could Google it really fast.
Yeah, I can text it to you too.
Okay, text it to me really fast.
Okay, hold on.
Wait, is that going to mess everything up? I'll just Google
No, I don't think so.
Oh, got it. Ugh. I hate that. Okay.
Well, there's technically two. So if you read that one, I'll read the other one.
Okay, our first tagline of the day. Slip into something a shade darker.
Isn't that just hurt your soul?
Ugh, so gross.
The second one is every fairy tale has a dark side.
Ugh. I also hate
like
that
yours
one.
better.
You do? I was gonna say I like yours better. They're both really, really bad, but it's like which one's less bad? Ugh.
I think yours just it has like part of the title in it, but I think it just like really fits with like I literally spent the whole movie just like,
Mhm.
like just like
Yeah.
groaning the entire.
Yeah. It was so bad.
But okay, so we got through all the background. Now we can get into our cat's facts.
Okay. What are we gonna call them? Oh. Okay, wait. Try
Okay.
again. Sorry, Brandon.
Okay, go. Okay, now we're into
Okay.
our cat's facts. What did we call them? We called them like fuck facts.
Yeah, I think we did. I was trying to decide what we were gonna call them today, and the only thing I could think of was sex facts. Like darker facts. Wait. 50 facts darker.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better
Okay.
than fuck facts.
There was no this one's like a little catchier. The title of this movie is a little catchier. It's easier to get ideas from. But yeah, there was just we had nothing to work with on the first one.
Yeah.
There was no chance.
No.
But okay, no, I like 50 facts darker. So we're gonna go with that.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, we talked about this for a little bit, but the screenwriter Niall Leonard is married to the author of the book series, E.L. James. And I liked that actually because I think it made a lot of sense because everybody like hated E.L. James when they were making the first one because she wanted it to like stick so closely to the book. And so no one like wanted to work with her because wouldn't let them do anything. So I think it makes sense that like her husband wrote the screenplay for this one.
Yeah, because he's gonna be willing to listen to her if he's married to her.
Mm-hmm. The second one is Anna's character says, "I expect you to call me Anna. I don't expect you to fetch me coffee unless you're getting some for yourself. And the rest we'll just make up as we go along." And the fact with that is Melanie Griffith, Dakota Johnson's mother, said the exact same line in the movie Working Girl from 1988.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that actually.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. I always forget that Dakota Johnson is like has famous parents. She's
I
like
had
a
no
Nepo
idea.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Aren't they all?
Yeah, for real. Jamie Dornan joked that he didn't like doing too many scenes with co-star Eric Johnson, who plays Jack Hyde, his romantic rival in the film, because he said that Johnson is too tall and doesn't make him look good.
That
Which,
really
like,
it really seems like something his character, like that Christian Grey
yeah,
would have.
yeah, I think that it was like really fitting.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sam Taylor Johnson, who directed the first 50 Shades of Grey, refused to even consider returning for the sequel. She cited frequent clashes with the author, E.L. James, who had received final approval on everything from the studio, as a source of much frustration. She was replaced by James Foley, who stated to have a great relationship with the author and therefore returned for the second sequel, which is 50 Shades Freed. So the first director was not coming back. She said no thanks.
Hard pass.
In the scene after Christian's helicopter goes down, when they're all watching the news in Christian's apartment, you see E.L. James walking in the background behind the reporter for the news. So the author makes a cameo in the sequel.
I love when people make cameos in their movies, except I never know because I never know what they look like.
Yeah, I have no idea what she looks like. I always just expect her to be like really odd looking because her book is based on a fan fiction of Twilight. Like that's just like, not to like use the same thing over and over again, but like all sorts of different shades of like geeky that like gets her to that point.
Yeah. Yep.
But okay. After receiving backlash that clean-shaven Jamie Dornan wasn't sexy enough as Christian Grey in the first movie, the producers decided that he could keep his stubble for the sequels. In my notes, I think I wrote twice that Christian Grey looks significantly hotter with facial hair than he did without the facial hair.
Yes. And they even bring it up at one point, not like directly, but Anastasia says something about his facial
Isn't it like
hair.
isn't it like the first time they kiss?
Yeah. Yeah, and she talks about like how stubbly it is or something.
Yeah.
I didn't write it down, but
Well, Jamie
Oh,
Dornan
no.
like in real life. But
I'm back.
sorry, Marina's headphones came unplugged.
Yeah, just ripped the cord out of my headphones.
Jamie Dornan in real life, is like he's Irish, like he has a really heavy accent.
Mhm.
And B, like usually in real life has like a big giant beard. Like he's hardly ever clean shaven. So I think it was probably like nice for him too, because I don't think he ever like in real life is clean shaven.
Yeah. I'm gonna Google what he looks like with a big beard, but keep going.
Let's see. Nominations for this movie. It was nominated for a Grammy for Best Song Written for Visual Media, which is crazy that it was nominated for a Grammy because I actually had completely forgotten that it existed. The like I Don't Want to Live Forever by Zayn from One Direction and Taylor Swift until I heard it on the movie because I was like, wow, this song was so popular when it first came out, and I literally have not heard it in like 3 years.
Yeah. Wait, when did the song play?
When they're on the yacht.
Oh, okay.
And it's so it's like it's Taylor Swift and Zayn from One Direction. And it was I thought like was surprised that I like had completely forgotten it and hadn't heard of it in a long time because I thought it was like way better than the Ellie Goulding song from the first one.
Yeah.
That was Love Me Like You Do that still plays on the radio like 7
Yeah.
times a week.
You still
And
hear that song.
Yeah. So it was nominated. That song was nominated for a Grammy for Best Song Written for Visual Media. It was also nominated for a Razzie for the worst movie of the year. It was nominated for a lot of Razzies. It won the Razzie for the worst sequel. Kim Basinger, who plays Elena Lincoln, won the Razzie for worst supporting actress. And it was also nominated. It was nominated for worst lead actor and worst lead actress.
Oh no.
Nominated for one really good award for music and like 8,000 awards for it being shitty.
Yeah. And the good award, like you said, was for music. It wasn't even for like the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. I think those are all my 50 facts darker. I didn't actually have 50 facts, which is kind of sad. Had I known,
we should have come up with it beforehand.
Hours. We would just be doing facts and it would be hour 3.
It would have been longer than when Seth is on.
Lucas was like super excited. Not excited because he was like sad because Seth wasn't on. But the one time Seth was gone, he was like, oh my God, we were done in under 2 hours.
Brandon was like so excited too when I was sitting next to him when he finished editing and he was like, yes, even with editing, only an hour 57.
Yeah. I mean, Seth would probably have good insight for this movie, but sadly he's not here, so.
Yeah.
Did you make him watch it too?
No, I was just telling Brandon the other day, I actually haven't seen Seth in a really long time. He like hasn't been over in a while, so He did not watch with us. I feel like it would have been really fun to watch with him because he'd have really funny commentary.
Yeah, you would have had so many good quotes.
Yeah. We tried to
Um,
get him to come over, but he was busy.
But okay, well that's all for my facts. So now
Okay.
we can get into the best movie you've seen all year and what happened.
Can't wait.
Okay. So the movie begins and it is definitely like I get what they're saying that they wanted to make it into a thriller because it starts with like a very traumatic like flashback nightmare
Yes.
of like a little boy, and it's Christian's dream, so you assume that it's Christian, of like a little boy hiding under the table while two adults in the room are screaming at each other, and then the man that was screaming at the woman like is walking towards the boy while he's hiding under the table and rips it up and has like a lit cigarette, and it's like clear that something bad's gonna happen, and then
Yeah.
Christian wakes up. So that's the beginning of the movie. So you can definitely feel that it's like, that like Christian's like weird, I'm 50 shades of fucked up past from the first movie is going to come into play in the second movie.
Yeah, and I was trying to remember right away even, like, did we talk about this in the first movie? Like, but I was pretty sure that we didn't learn about that in the first movie. We only learned about the Mrs. Robinson. And then as we got into the movie, I realized, like, okay, we did not learn about this. We're learning about it now, but
Yeah, so that's how we start. That's our first taste of a Christian getting back into the movie. But then we go forward into Anna, like in her apartment, and somebody knocks on the door with like 8 bazillion white roses and is
yes.
congratulating her on a new job. And we can basically discern that they're from Christian, and she immediately goes to throw them away. So we know that they're still broken up, like they're still not together. So then my initial thing was like, okay, well, what the fuck? Like, if they're not together, why do you know she has a new job? Why are you sending flowers to her apartment? Like,
Yeah.
it looks
Why
like she
are
has a new apartment, so why do you know her address? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
why are you still being creepy stalker?
Yeah.
Like, your people are still following her.
Yeah. Yeah. So she gets these flowers and she goes to throw them away and then decides, no, these are like 8 billion beautiful, probably like $300 worth of roses. So I guess I won't throw them away. So she doesn't throw them away and she goes to her new job at a publishing company. And lo and behold, she's the hot assistant for the super hot boss, Jack Hot.
Yep. Who, like, right away to me was, like, super hot, but, like, kind of creepy right off the bat.
He's like, obviously, you can like tell that like the
He's
minute
like,
he comes in, that you know that that's the plot line for the movie. Like
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, creepy in that way that you're like, all right, I
Yeah.
already know what's happening.
Like you already know that something is going to happen. He obviously thinks she's very attractive.
Yeah.
Let's see. She obviously I said she definitely like you can tell that like that's exactly what I said. I was like, you can tell that like she has very like quiet, sweet assistant has affair with the hot boss vibes. Like you can like
Yes.
very much like girl next door assistant going to sleep with the boss kind of energy.
Yeah, for sure. Almost kind of like naive, a little bit like, I'll
Which
do
was the
anything
whole
to have this job.
for real, which was the whole first movie basically. So that was like the vibes that I
Yes.
got.
Yeah.
And then let's see. My notes look kind of all over the place. I don't know why, because I literally just watched the movie from beginning to end. So then after that, she has her first day at work. Everybody loves her. Everybody thinks she's super great because even though she's like kind of quiet and mousy and awkward, for whatever reason, there's just like this weird draw to her that only millionaire hot men just have to have her, even though she's like very plain and very quiet.
Yeah.
So she goes from her first day at work when everybody's very impressed with her to her like Hispanic friend Jose's photo gallery opening. And we remember Jose from the first movie because he is super in love with her and hates Christian. Yeah. And we remember that he's in love with her because as soon as she gets to the photo gallery, the entire gallery is just ginormous pictures of her. Like larger than life of photos of her.
Yeah. Yeah, and like all the photos, not just like one.
Like the entire gallery is just full of photos of her. And like photos that she like photos that she like never gave him permission to put in his like big giant exhibit.
Yeah.
So we're looking at all these photos. She's like mortified that they're all over the wall. And he is like, well, I guess somebody likes them because somebody literally bought every single one of them. And I immediately was like, God, what a fucking weirdo. Like you broke up, but I just need 17 photos of you that are 6 feet tall to put in my apartment.
Yeah. They're probably like all go in his bedroom too, where he can just look at them all the time.
So there's this awkward scene where he's like, well, apparently somebody liked them because somebody just bought all of them. And then immediately Christian Grey comes around the corner.
Yeah, and she knows immediately too.
Yeah. So he clearly has been following her. And in the very classic, like, pathetic ex-boyfriend fashion, he wants to get dinner and talk about their relationship. So it's very obvious that he wants to get back together. And it's very obvious that she like pretends she doesn't want to get back together, but like obviously they're gonna get back together.
Yeah. There wouldn't be a movie if she didn't.
For real. So they go to this fancy restaurant and he tries to order for her and she gets pissed because she doesn't want him to order for her. And it's just the same power struggle of like he wants to do everything for her and not everybody wants to live his like psycho lifestyle.
Yeah.
But she finally agrees to get back together with him if he like communicates better. And so this is when he goes into like the scene from the beginning of the movie where he talks about how his birth mom was a crack addict and how he was abused and how he ended up being adopted by his like super rich family. So we know that like the first few years of his childhood were really bad and now he is rich and famous and does whatever he wants.
Yes. Which, did we learn, for some reason, I thought I knew that the mom was a crack addict. Did we learn that in the first movie?
Yeah, because there's a scene in the first movie where she's like literally sleeping and then he goes into the room where she's sleeping and tells this entire story even though she's like not conscious and can't hear him. So he like told the viewers this whole story, but she doesn't know until the second movie.
Yes. Okay, now I remember. Yeah.
So they decide while they're at dinner, they're going to get back together. They're not going to have a contract, quote unquote. Like they're going to have a regular relationship and they're going to date and have a great time. And he drops Anna off at her apartment and gives her this big giant gift box. And for the second time in 2 movies, has now bought her a new MacBook and a brand new iPhone because he also bought her both of those things in the first movie. So now in the second movie, he bought her another new MacBook, which is literally like this movie takes place like 3 months after the first movie. Like she has had had the other MacBook for less than a year, and he has already bought her a new one.
It's probably not even like a new generation of iPhone. It's just
literally
the same.
The exact same one, just newer. Yeah. So he gets her all this new stuff because now they're dating again. Everything's going really well. So we go back to Anna and she's at her new fancy job with her fancy boss who clearly has the hots for her. And he invites her and everybody else to get drinks together after work.
Yes. And this is the HR lady like came to say hi to Anna.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then the HR lady gets like a weird look, like she knows it's a bad idea or something. Did you notice
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yeah, like she either knows it's a bad idea or she knows that like maybe Jack Hyde has like a whole history of sleeping with his assistants kind of deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's very clear that like the other people in the office sort of know what his deal is. So they're going downstairs. She's agreed to go to happy hour with him. And they get downstairs and this like strange kind of raggedy looking girl calls Anna like by her name and wants to talk to her, and Anna doesn't know who she is, and we don't get to learn who she is because Jack Hyde like whisks her away to go get drinks. And as soon
Yes.
as we get to the bar, we find out that he actually has not invited anybody else. He's only invited Anna. He claims that they're coming later, but it's very clear that he didn't invite anybody else. Like he only wants to hang out with her. He
Yeah.
is very like he obviously is like attracted to her. No one else is coming. So they get beers, and within like 5 seconds of them drinking beer, Christian shows up and is immediately like, no, fuck you, like this is my girlfriend, you don't even get to talk to her. So then they just like immediately leave, and Jack Hyde tries to make it really awkward by calling him Chris, which is like apparently the worst, most offensive thing anybody has ever done.
Yeah, the second he said it, you saw Anna's face like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that."
Yeah, so he's like trying to be very offensive by like calling him the shorter version of his name. Like that's the most insulting thing you can do to a man to make them feel less masculine. But so they go away and they decide that they're going to cook dinner together at home, which can't ever be just cooking dinner together at home because there's like all of this weird sexual tension. And she keeps
Yes. She's
like moving her entire body in his way.
Yeah,
And
she's
then
definitely baiting him.
Yeah, and then pretending like she didn't do anything. Let's see. So he's asking her about her new job, and he starts asking her all of these like really awkward businessy questions, like, is it a nice area? Like, is it well managed? Do people seem happy? And she figures out that he's just planning to buy the entire company that she works for.
Yeah, which is a very Christian Grey move.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I just can't even, like, there's so many things that are just like, there's so much like stupid bullshit, like I have more money than God actions. That's like, I want to watch over you, so I'm gonna buy your whole multi-million-dollar company that you're a lowly assistant for.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he just like literally, it's like the highest, like it's like the billionaire version of just having no chill. Like you just can't. Like you just
if you think you want to have a job, I'm still going to control even that.
Yeah. So they start to get into like an argument, and then like every argument they're ever in, it just magically ends. Like they're fighting every time they fight, then they just have sex. So that's exactly what happens. So then this is the first, so when they're fighting, and then they just decide they're going to have sex instead. So we have the first sex scene of this movie, which I thought, it being a sequel, it was going to be like less. But I'm like 99. I don't remember totally watching the first one, but I'm 99% sure there's more sex in this movie than there was in the first movie.
What just happened? Oh no, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Something weird happened on Brandon's computer. I agree that there was more sex in this movie, I think, but I think that it wasn't as, I don't know if aggressive is the right word. It wasn't as like in your face as the first one.
Yeah, it was like less in your face, but it also felt like
there was more of it.
It also felt like it was almost more in my face, because it wasn't like the classic like blind, like it wasn't like the classic like BDSM, like they were like trying to convince you that that was like a draw to 50 Shades of Grey. It was like
Yeah.
very intimate to the point that it was like really invasive. Like this,
Yeah.
the first sex scene, I was like, I feel like I am literally like
Watching it.
invading. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm invading somebody's privacy. Like I do not feel like they acted this out for me to watch. Like I literally felt like I was in somebody's like very private. Like it wasn't like the fun, like supposed to be like the fun
Yeah.
raunchy wild ride of the first one. Like it was very much like meant to be like softer, and then I just felt even more weird afterwards. And
It was,
one
yeah,
note that
very
I,
cringy.
yeah, the one note that I like took after the first sex scene, I was like, it's no wonder they like talk about how Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan like weren't friends after filming these movies. Like they didn't have like a very great relationship. Like I could see why. Like it's very much
Mhm.
like you don't know each other that well, and then you have to spend so much time doing this shit
Yeah.
that I would just be like, okay, well then let's just never talk. Like let's take our $1 billion and never talk to each other again and go on our way. Like,
Yeah, like never think about how uncomfortable this was
yeah.
again.
Let's see. So there's our first sex scene, and then they're in her apartment, which I didn't realize.
Yes.
And they're sleeping, they're in the middle of the night, they're sleeping in her apartment. And in the background of them sleeping, you can see the fucking girl from the girl that like tried to pull Anna off the street.
Oh yeah.
She's like in the apartment watching them while they slept.
This is another thing that makes me think it was like trying to be a thriller. Like,
Yeah.
someone's just standing there, and it was only for like a split second. Like, I was typing a quote and like missed the whole thing. Brandon had to like tell me like the girl was just there.
And I immediately was like, is this like a weird like psychological thing? Like is she
Yeah.
not, like it's so fast that I was like, is she not actually there? Like is it like is someone like trying to make it like, is it like ghostly now or something? Like
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
No, for a second, at first I was like, I thought maybe it was like Anastasia like remembering her young self or something, like something creepy like that, like haunting herself. I don't know. It was so weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So it like, okay, let me see. Oh, so at this point, they are arguing about something again, and they like wake up from the morning. They're already arguing about something else. I think it's about money because doesn't he like just give her $24,000?
Yeah, for some reason she had a check for someone and then was like, "Here, take this check back, like the person's gone or something." And he was like, "Just keep it for yourself." And then she rips it up and then he calls the bank and is just like, "Transfer $24,000 to Anastasia's account." And then she freaks out because how does he have her bank information?
I
It's
did
just a
write
whole
that.
nother
I wrote that
fight.
down.
Yeah.
So the whole nother fight, and they find out that there's all sorts of weird stuff that we find out going on. She makes a mention of that girl,
Hmm.
and he's like, okay, well we'll talk about it later, but not right now, because right now you have to go get your hair done to go to the ball my parents are throwing.
Yes.
Because his parents are throwing a charity ball.
Because that's just something
So
casual that they do.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
invite
So
people
we
day
find
of.
Yeah, the day of, you give them no time to prepare.
Yeah.
You give them absolutely no foreknotice at all. So, oh my gosh, I have dropped my phone like 6 times already. Okay. We're gonna figure it out. So they go to a salon because apparently she has to have an entirely new hairstyle for this ball.
Hmm.
Even though I don't know. Clearly, I don't understand the need to get ready for a ball. But anyway, so they go to the salon, and she immediately realizes as soon as they're at the salon that it is owned by Mrs. Robinson, aka Elena, who is the lady who taught Christian everything he knows about having weird kinky sex. So she's
Yes.
immediately pissed, and she's like, I'm not gonna get my hair done here. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I don't want to be around your weird, like, old lady friend who, like, sexually assaulted you because you were having sex when she was like, she's old. Like, they were having,
She's really
saw her, like,
old.
40 when he was like 15 and they were having sex.
Yeah.
Like super, super awkward, super like the only one who seems to understand that it's fucked up is Anastasia. Like it's not,
Yeah.
it's like this weird, like everybody else just thinks it's all fine. And she's like literally in the parallel universe of like, what the fuck is wrong with all of you? So they're not going to that salon. And then we finally learn what the story is with the strange girl on the street and the strange girl in Anna's apartment while they're sleeping. So apparently her name is Layla, and she was his submissive at some point, and really wanted to like have an actual relationship, and Christian didn't want that. So they broke up and she got married and he thought everything was like hunky dory and she was out of his life. And then
No.
her husband died in a car crash and she had a whole breakdown and showed up in his apartment when he and Anna were dating, but he wasn't there, and tried to like attempt suicide in front of his housekeeper.
Yes. Which this is one of the wild plot lines that I was like, was this really necessary?
Like very, and it's very like we find all this out not through Christian just like telling the story. Like he's not just talking about her and it's this whole casual thing. We find this all out because you go into Christian's office and he opens a file cabinet and there's just a file on every
Yeah.
woman he's ever slept with. And like pictures of them when they're like just walking on the street and like their fucking birth certificate and social security number, like
Yes.
very like FBI background check shit just to
Mhm.
make sure that should I sleep with this girl or not? Like
Yeah.
very
And he like doesn't see anything wrong with it. Like he tells Anastasia he has one drawn up on like every potential girl.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and then
very
she like
creepy.
she looks at her own and she's mad for like 5 seconds and then gets over it, even though it's very like she opens her file and literally it's like her birth certificate, her social security card, her bank information, like
Yeah.
hundreds of pictures of her just walking down the street, like very invasive, like things that like obviously you had to like dig in order to find, like you had to contact somebody to get into her private information to get copies of. Yeah, so very awkward. And so she's mad for 5 seconds and then he makes her unmad because he hired somebody to come in and do her hair for the ball and brought like 75 different $1 million ball gowns into his apartment for her to pick from.
Yeah, she just gets to take her pick of like ball gowns that we could never even imagine wearing. And there's just like 100 of them there.
Yeah. Like a whole, it just is like its own whole store. So she
Yeah.
gets to pick out whatever one she wants. So it flashes to her getting ready, and she's wearing like a super, super irrational amount of like straps and lingerie. Like literally,
Yes.
she's like 100 pounds dripping wet. Like she doesn't need 18 different kinds of straps to hold it all in. Like just fucking put on the dress. Like it's not
Yeah. No, and I pointed out to Brandon, I was like, this lingerie like would never work under a ball gown. Like you would just see all of it. There was like straps on her shoulders and stuff, and I was like, her dress is
Yeah.
obviously gonna be strapless. It's a ball gown. Like this would
Yeah.
never work.
And then she wears this like super, super form-fitting like silver satin dress that it's obvious she like was never going to wear all of those things under.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's getting ready and she has all this unnecessary amount of lingerie on. So then there's like a weird, like awkward sex toy scene where he like puts something like inside of her and she's like really uncomfortable. I was really uncomfortable.
It was,
Marina was
yeah,
obviously really uncomfortable.
very uncomfortable. Well,
Lucas was watching basketball and I like kept looking over to like see if he was paying attention and I was like, just don't be paying attention. Like this is just not the time for you to be
the whole time me and Brandon were trying to decide like what they were and like what he was gonna do with them. And we like thought for sure he was like putting them in her butt. So
That's
like
what. So did she. She was.
she
Like,
was,
yeah.
and then he was, so we were like set, and then she was like, do you like put it in my, she was like, you're not putting that in my butt or whatever, and he was like, you don't, and then we were like, what's he gonna do with them? And then you have to watch the whole scene of her bending over, and it's just a lot.
Yeah, I kept looking over because I was like, oh my god, let's just watch the basketball game. Like, this is not a conversation
You could,
that I want to have with you.
don't look at the TV right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so they go to the ball and she has whatever these weird things are, and they don't really like make that big of a deal out of it.
Mm-mm.
But then they're at this ball, and the ball is to like rescue kids from drug addict parents. So it's obvious that like that's the whole point. Like they did that for Christian. They like adopted him
Yeah.
from like a bad situation. And then they're having this like auction, and Anna spends all of the money that he like put into her account to buy like a weekend in Aspen, even though it's literally his fucking house.
She could go for free.
Yeah. Like she
But
spent $24,000 for them to go to the home that he literally
yeah.
owns.
And she does it just like as like a fuck you to Christian, like because she was so mad about getting the money in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she gives away the money that he gave her, and then obviously, like I said, this is the whole thing. He's like sort of annoyed that she gave away the money that he gave her, and so instead of fighting about it, they go up to his childhood bedroom and have sex. So this is the second sex scene.
Yes.
And we're literally like not that far into the movie. So they have the sex scene, they have this whole thing, and I literally forgot that they were at like his parents' house, like in the middle of a party.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they're like, okay, it's time to go back downstairs. And I was like, oh shit, you guys are supposed to be doing something. Like you're at a function. So they go back downstairs, and on the stairs there's some it's a masked ball. I forgot.
Yes,
That's
masquerade.
Right. The masquerade ball. So they're going back downstairs, and as you go back downstairs, you see like this random stranger like taking pictures of all of the family pictures on their stairwell. And
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
he's in a mask,
it's
so you can't
obviously,
tell like who
yeah,
it is.
like you can't tell who, like you can't tell, but it's like it's obviously Jack Hyde. Like there are two like adverse characters in the movie, and one's a girl and one's a boy. So if it's like something creepy is going on and it's either a boy or a girl, like you probably know who it is.
Yeah.
So they're back at their ball, they're hanging out, and Anna runs into Elena, the lady who like taught Christian
Mm-hmm.
everything that he knows about his weird fucked up lifestyle. And Elena goes on this whole rant about how she thinks that Anna can't give Christian what he wants because she's too independent, and she just needs to leave Christian alone so that he can find some pathetic woman who will be obedient to him, and that Anna obviously just can't give him what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very gross and very
it really gives off the vibe that like she's in love with him, like
she
doesn't
like
want
still
yeah,
she like would rather have him like have just like a random girl that he like does whatever he wants to, because it means that like he still like he still loves her like more than he loves whoever he's like actively
yes,
sleeping with. But it's like if he is with Anna, then she's like threatened because it's clear that he like might actually love Anna.
yes.
So it's very like territorial and awkward and fucked up, and just like everything
Yeah.
else in this movie, territorial and awkward and fucked up, and that's my entire review.
Good description. Good description.
But yeah, so they have a ball, and they finally go home, and they get into his big giant parking garage where he has 8 billion cars, and something is clearly going on because they've told Anna that she's not allowed to get out of the car. And because she just ignores everything everybody says all the time, and that's like her whole character. She just gets out of the car anyway, and they walk over, and her car in the parking garage has just been like destroyed. Like, it literally looks like somebody hit it with a tank, which is super confusing because the whole thing is like one girl thrashed her car, but it's like literally looks like it has been mauled by a bear. Like, it does not make
Yeah.
sense that this like tiny little pathetic girl who's apparently having like a mental breakdown has like somehow totaled Anna's car with her own two hands. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very like the amount of damage was very unnecessary.
Like, it was not like one person affecting this car. So
Yeah.
they're apparently she was never supposed to be able to get into the parking garage. So now they're convinced that she's hiding in his apartment, so they can't stay in his apartment. So where do they go? Christian's massive yacht.
Yeah. Casually, they just go to a boat that's
Casually.
manned 24/7.
Yeah. So that's the safest place for them to stay. Let's see. So they're staying on it, and then the next morning they decide to go, oh, it's not a yacht, it's a sailboat, but whatever. They go out to sail the boat, and you find out while they're sailing the boat that he apparently built it.
Yes.
It's like
I do remember that. Yep.
the size of my entire apartment building times
Yeah.
7, and he just apparently casually with a few other people built the entire sailboat.
Yeah, and it's like it's a really nice sailboat. Like it's not just like something he built in his backyard. Like it's like something you would buy.
And it has like living quarters and all sorts of
Yes.
different, yeah. A rainfall shower, like, no,
Yeah.
you didn't build it. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, so this is where they're staying now because they can't safely stay in his apartment, so they're staying on his sailboat. But now that they've had their ball and they're safe on their sailboat, now Anna has to go back to work. And all of a sudden, now that her boss knows that she's dating Christian Grey, now he's just like the biggest, like, ginormous asshole in the entire universe.
Yeah, super rude.
Super rude. And he, like, is pissed because he is going to New York, and apparently she was supposed to come with him. But even though she never knew she was supposed to come with him, she was just supposed to, like, assume. So he's like pissed that she doesn't have her hotel room, even though he like never told her she was going. So
Yeah.
very much like very awkward, like jealous, territorial, like not the appropriate, like, oh, you're my assistant, like you were supposed to come with me, like maybe just get a hotel room because you were supposed to come with me, like sorry I didn't tell you. More of a like, oh, like, oh, maybe you forgot because you were like fucking your boyfriend or something, like very awkward.
Yeah.
Like,
Very like non-connected things too.
yeah. But yeah, so oh my gosh, I feel bad like trying to explain everything that's going on in this movie because it just keeps bouncing in like 18 million different directions. Like, it's hard to
Yeah.
like understand the plot because there's like 7 minor plot lines. So
And they
yeah,
all
it
just bounce back and forth.
bounced all over the place. Let's see. So she had a shitty time at work, and she goes home, and Christian's doing something, and so she goes into the red room because it's unlocked. So this is the first time we've seen the red room of pain in the second movie. So she goes
Yes.
in and she's just browsing. And my note from her browsing the red room, because they just show you like all these different things, is I wrote down, I don't know, I feel like a lot of this shit all does the same thing. Like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff in there that like all has the same purpose. Like,
Yes.
you do not need like that is such a big space. Like, you could not possibly need all 5,000 tools that are in there for something different. Like, you really could have minimized the amount of shit that you put in that room for the same. I think that he needs to like Marie Kondo the room is what I'm saying. Because there's too many things that I'm like, Like, okay, well, that does the same thing. That does the same thing. You have 17 of those. Like, I don't know why you need, like, it was a maximalist lifestyle only in that room.
Yeah.
So now we're on sex scene 3, because obviously if she's visiting that room, we're definitely headed towards a sex scene.
Yes.
And this is like the first like scene that kind of goes back to the first movie, that I didn't feel like I was like invading somebody's privacy by watching, because it's very much like an acted out scene.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they are done with their sex scene, oh, that's right, just like all the other sex scenes, they were fighting before this one, because he didn't want her to go to New York, and she said she was going. So they had sex about it, and then decided at the end that they would just go together so that she wouldn't have to go with her boss.
Yes. This is also the first sex scene where they use something from the Red Room, right? Because they have
Yeah.
that little leg spreader thing.
Yeah, that was also, I also wrote a note about that one where I said she looked at that thing and didn't realize that that's what it did, because she's the dumbest person on the face of the earth. Like, you couldn't have put two in, like, there was no detective work involved. Like, you looked at it and you just didn't know. Like, it's very obvious. But
yeah.
So they decide, so sex scene 3, that's what their fight was about this time. This time it was about going to New York, and she decides she's not going to go with her boss. So she goes back to work the next day to tell him she's not going with him to New York. And he like pulls her into the office, and everybody else is gone. And goes on
and she's still being very naive too, like apologizing, like thinks she's just going in the office to like get in trouble because she's not going to New York. Like she doesn't think like, oh, nobody is in the office right now and this guy's creepy, maybe I shouldn't go in there.
Yeah, like she has like none of the like stranger danger that like the average 5-year-old usually has. Like she just has no self-preservation at all. So she goes in there by herself, and he like is immediately like talking about her like going the extra mile, and it's like obviously very like sleazy. And she's like trying to leave, and he immediately like jumps her, like gets in her face and like pins her against the wall, and says all sorts of really, really like gross things that I didn't even write down as quotes, because I was like, I don't want to read these out loud.
It's super gross.
Yeah, like very sleazy. And she like gets away from him. She like knees him between the legs and like kicks him while he's on the ground and runs away. So she gets away, and Christian has like been downstairs waiting for her the whole time, which I thought was really like weird, because usually if she's like 5.2 seconds longer than he thinks she should be taking, then I like super expected him to just like march up there.
I thought for sure he was going to show up in the office and like beat the guy. Like, because you're right, like he would have gone up there, because in her text it said, okay, just 2 minutes. And if it had been longer than 2 minutes, like he would have been up there.
It was like kind of not in keeping with the rest of the film, because he like is the knight in shining armor in every single scene, and it was like the one time she was like sort of independent, and I like super wasn't expecting it at all. But she gets out, they go back to Christian's apartment because they're not staying on the boat anymore, and Christian immediately gets Jack fired, and then asks Anna to move in.
Which is like very random.
Yeah. Like they started didn't they start dating literally like 4 days ago? Like they got back together. Like this movie doesn't like span a big amount of time. Like it literally felt like it'd been like 3 days.
Yeah, very fast.
And then so she says that she'll probably do it, and then goes back to work the next day and just gets Jack's job. Like she was like the brand new assistant, and then they just decide that she should be like the head of the whole fucking company, even though she's been there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very It was very weird. And I have a quote from Brandon for this scene later, but it was just like, okay, like you're an assistant, you must know everything he does. Like here,
Mhm.
be the CEO.
Yeah, literally, like it just doesn't make any sense, and it's
No.
outrageous. But
Yeah.
what did Lucas just text me? You should talk about Nicole Kidman.
Um,
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
she's
But yeah,
probably
so
locked up in Christian's house.
yeah, but so yeah, so she's the boss. So now they have to have dinner to celebrate her being the new boss, and she still hasn't decided if she's moving in. So that's what they're like. Their weird they're having a conversation about whether or not she should move
Yeah.
in. And then they have, it's not actual sex, but it's sex-ish in public, in the elevator.
Oh, yep.
In the elevator full of people.
Full of people. And I feel like when like I hate talking about this. It's so cringy. Okay, but when he's like I can't even. Okay. Anyways, she's like moaning and I feel like it's full of people. Like they
There's so
should have
many
heard
fucking people
her.
now. Like, no, it was not secretive. It was not discreet, not even a little bit discreet. Everybody knew. I'm glad we could have this conversation that they made it look like nobody was even like, no, everybody fucking knew. Everybody noticed.
Yeah.
Everybody knew. I'm glad we can have that talk because I felt the same way. Where I was like, no, no, absolutely not.
Like the girl is like they're so packed in there, they're like basically touching. Like there's no way she didn't know what was happening.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And I thought that the whole time I was
Yeah.
like, none of you have headphones in. There's no elevator music. Like,
Nobody's talking. Yeah,
no one
it
fucking
felt
bends down. No one fucking bends down to tie their shoe in the middle of an elevator. Like, no, doesn't happen. Everybody knows what's going on. They're just pretending they don't. That's the whole.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you agree.
Yeah.
Cuz it felt very weird.
So we have that going on, and then we jump forward to our first there's like 3 different like climactic moments in this movie.
Mhm.
I guess Jack like jumping in and getting fired is the first one. So maybe this is the second one. So now we have our second like there's like no major plot line. There's just 7 minor plot lines and they all have to get resolved by the end of the movie.
Yes.
So the
Yep.
second minor plot line is Layla and the like strange girl on the street who keeps showing up and they're convinced this crazy has trashed Anna's car, this, that, and the other thing. So Christian and Anna are together. Anna says she has to go up to her apartment to grab something, but she says she can go alone, which is complete bullshit from the rest of the movie because
Yes.
they've gone all these places together, and every time they go somewhere together, there's like 18 bodyguards with them. But then all of a sudden, Anna needs to go somewhere by herself, and it's just fine. Like she doesn't need. He's like, oh yeah, go by yourself.
He would never just stay downstairs and wait for her to go in her apartment.
Yeah. So she goes up there, she grabs whatever she's grabbing, and then she turns around and there's Layla. And she immediately starts talking to Anna about how, like, what do you have that I don't have? Like, why does he actually sleep in your bed? Like, why does he actually let you call? Like, very, like, it makes you, like, you always think Christian Grey is icky, but it's very much like the first moment where you're like, wow, you're fucking gross. Like, you're a gross person.
Yeah.
Like, and so they're having this conversation, and then Anna's like trying to like talk her down, and she pulls out this little teeny like Western handgun.
Yes.
And just like, and I was like, oh shit, like, okay, probably no big deal. And then within like 4 seconds, just like shoots at the ceiling.
Yeah, I didn't think she was actually going to shoot it. Which, like,
Yeah.
she didn't shoot it at Anna, but she still pulled the trigger.
Yeah. So she like within like 4 seconds of holding onto the gun has shot the gun, which I was like shocked by because I was the same
Yeah.
way. I was like, whatever. This is like this movie's super dumb. Like she like no way, and then immediately just shot it. But so Christian comes up the stairs with his like driver Taylor whatever guy,
Yeah.
and like immediately like she's holding a fucking gun, and immediately just like tells her to kneel down, and she just does it, and he
Yeah.
just takes the gun.
Yeah, just
Like, that's it.
immediately like snaps out of it. Like, oh my God, you're giving me a command. Let me follow it right now. I'm completely in love with you. Like, creepy. And he like doesn't even have to say any words either. It's like all hand gestures. Like he just
Yeah.
like does I don't know if you've seen the Netflix show It's Bruno, but he does the little like hand thing that the guy does for his dog to sit and she just kneels down. It's very creepy.
It was super uncomfortable. My note, I didn't actually ever explain what happened in this part of my notes. I just said, ew, what the fuck? And that was my
Yes.
entire note.
Yeah.
That was it. So they talk about, so all this happens and she like walks all the way back to his apartment. And so they're having this big argument about like, you're a psycho. Like, I don't think we can stay together, this, that, and the other thing. And he like admits like every woman I've ever like done this to looks exactly like my mom. And I like get off punishing them as like revenge on my mom, which then I was like,
Yeah, even grosser.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting. So we finally find out like the real psychological weirdness of like who he is and why he is who he is. And as usual, she's alarmed by this for 5 seconds. And then they're just fine. And they just go to bed. This time they don't have sex. They just go to bed. But then in the middle of the night, he has like a whole traumatic nightmare.
Oh yeah, she like gets up for some reason and like is on the porch, right? Just like looking outside. Yeah, and then hears him having this nightmare, like runs in.
And then she wakes him up and she's like, "You're fine." And then because she does one nice thing for him ever, he asks her to marry him because she woke him up from a bad dream. And that was it. That was all it took. If only it was that easy in the real world.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he asks her to marry him and she just doesn't give him an answer. Because the next day he brings it up again and she still doesn't give him an answer. And then you find out that apparently his birthday is like the next day.
Yeah, but he doesn't tell her. She finds out from like the sister or something.
Yeah. And they're throwing this big giant party. So apparently it's going to be his birthday.
And he just wasn't going to mention it.
Yeah, he just like wasn't going to mention it. Like he also called to tell her that he was just like leaving for 3 days. Hadn't mentioned
Yeah. Okay, but like I know it's Christian Grey, but I was like, you just told her she can't go to New York and now you get to leave? Like, what?
You're just
Which, like,
leaving?
I
Yeah.
get it, but
And then literally like the entire thing with like you almost just like got her killed because some psycho girl that you used to sleep with still loves you, and then now you're just gonna leave for 3 days and you're just
yeah.
gonna leave her alone.
Yeah, I also thought about that. Like, she's just gonna be alone for 3 days now. Well, there's like multiple people trying to kill her.
Yeah. So it's clear that like we still have like one more like climactic moment coming. So we've gotten through these two. So he says he's going to Portland and all these things are like fine, and she's just like ready to oh my god, sorry. Ready to go to his birthday party and have everything be fine. She hasn't told him whether or not she's going to marry him. And she's hanging out with her friends, getting drinks, and they're asking her how things are going with Christian. And then, like 4 seconds into them hanging out, they find out that Christian, the master helicopter pilot, has disappeared, and he just is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and you see, like, in the movie, they show you the scene of them, like crashing in the helicopter, and
Mhm.
it's just like so dramatic. I don't know. I was laughing the whole
Like
time.
all the like sirens in the helicopter is like going in 18,000 different directions, like,
Yeah.
and
But
then
it's like,
somehow
of course, like something has to happen. Like he has to disappear.
yeah, there has to be one more moment. So then they're all at Christian's apartment and they're all sitting there watching the news, and it's like Anna and all of her friends and Christian's parents and this, that, and the other thing, and they're all there and watching the news, and Anna's all regretful because she never told him she would marry him and this, that, and the other thing. And then within like seconds on the news, they're like, "Oh, everybody's fine. Everybody's been found safe." And then instead of it like flashing to like an interview with Christian, like being found safe, he just fucking walks through the door of the apartment.
Yeah. Which I was also like, of course, Christian Grey gets to crash a helicopter and be fine and just like
Yeah,
walk home like it's nothing.
he's just
Like,
like dirty.
yes, he has like one blood mark on his forehead and that's it.
Yeah. Hasn't
Like,
called anybody, just
yeah.
walked into his apartment. And the
And
whole
he's
thing was
like,
like,
why
"Well,
are you all
I lost."
here?
Yeah, the whole thing is like, "Well, I lost my phone." And I'm like, nobody gave you a phone? Like nobody had a phone?
Like you just left?
No one had any access to any technology to be able to let your family know that you were alive? No, I just was like, this is the dumbest thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Another wild
So,
plot line.
yeah. So we get there, everybody finds out he's alive, and they finally leave, and everybody's like crying, and it's all tearful. And then within seconds, Anna tells him that she'll marry him. So it's like this big cute moment. And then
Yeah.
because he almost died, and we have to recognize the value of being alive, there's another sex scene.
Obviously.
Yes. So they go into his like red room, and the only note that I took for the entire scene is that I was really, really disturbed by the fact that he used literally like an entire bottle of massage oil.
Yes.
Like she is
Like,
dripping.
yeah, way too much. Yeah. Yeah.
Like she
And
must have been so slippery.
gross. And imagine trying to have to wash it off after.
Yeah. But all I could think about was like, oh my god, she's literally, it is just like pouring. I was, oh my god. That was the only note that I took the entire time. I didn't really
Yeah.
take notes on any of them because I was like, I felt weird taking notes. I just marked down that they happened. But I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that's like the entire bottle.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. It's like the first sex scene in the red room. And it's still like very, it's not like
Everything is
red
like
room sex.
so much more like subdued than in the last movie. Like
Yes.
it's clear
Yes.
that like they almost maybe got like even though that was the point of the first movie, people were like so unprepared to see like
Yeah.
anything that raunchy that they like just dialed it back for the second one.
Yes.
But yes, so they had all of them, or were there 6? Oh, there were only 5 sex scenes, so we made it through all the sex scenes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So now that they have affirmed that they're all alive and they're really excited to still be alive, they get to go to his birthday party, which is literally, I swear to God, this movie takes place in the span of like fucking a week. Like
Yes. It's so
so much
fast.
shit happens so fast.
Yeah.
Because this is the next day and now it's his birthday. So they're at the birthday party and they announce that they're engaged. And immediately when they announce that they're engaged, now we're on our fourth major climax. Because they announced that they're engaged, and Elena, the like old lady who taught Christian how to have sex, she is obviously like fucking pissed. Like he announces that they're engaged and she literally just storms out of the room.
Yes. And for something coming up later, I think it's very important to note that Elena is like one of Christian's mom's friends. Like they
That's
make
right.
that
Yeah,
very
he like
apparent.
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's kind
because
of like, why
Christian
are you at this party?
yeah, and Christian's mom like goes up to Anna and she's like, "Oh, have you met my friend Elena? She's like my best friend ever." And
Yeah.
Anna's like, no, we've very much met, but like doesn't explain why.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it just makes it like even creepier that it's like I don't know, it's like your friend's son that you're like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just weird.
Super weird. Yeah. So they like we find out that like the background goes for he just didn't meet her randomly, like he was friends. Okay, yeah. You're right. So she's obviously pissed. And then we like get to the scene where Anna like is taking a minute to herself because there's like all these people at this party and it's like very like busy. And Elena shows up, like comes into this moment where Anna is sitting by herself and starts like yelling at her about how she doesn't actually love him. She just wants him for his money, and she's going to make sure Christian knows that like he can't marry Anna and that she's all wrong for him and that she's this big like selfish, lying, crazy person. And meanwhile, Christian's mom is in the background. No, wait, I'm wrong. Christian comes in first, right?
Yeah, so Christian comes in.
There's all sorts of weird threads going on.
I know.
So she like Anna gets pissed and throws her drink in Elena's face,
and Christian comes in
up.
like right and sees that happen, which I thought he was gonna get mad at Anna, but he didn't.
I did too. But he like immediately defends Anna, and then we could save it for quotes, but it's my favorite. It's my favorite stupid line of the movie, where it's like, Elena, you taught me how to fuck, but Anna taught me how to love. And then that whole line, Christian's mom is in the background when he says that line. Yes. So he realizes that like they were having sex, like that was the first person Christian had sex with. And so the minute Grace figures that out, she's like, oh my God, get the fuck out of my house. Like you're the grossest person.
Yeah. And she slaps Elena, which I loved.
Yes.
Like, get the fuck out.
Yeah. So Elena gets kicked out. And so we finally get our like last like big climax of the movie, like the benediction of like, yep, Jack Hyde gets fired, like Layla finally is like gone, and then Elena is finally gone. So you have like you have like your three enemies are like now out of the picture. So you think everything's fine. And then you have like the very cute happy ending of him proposing to her in this like cool greenhouse something.
They went to like they went down, it feels like it was like a pool house because you know rich people have those, but there was like flowers everywhere, and then it was weird. It was like also in the middle of the party that they just like left.
So he gives like an official proposal and gives her a ring, and then there's fireworks and you think it's like this very cute happy ending. And then while the fireworks are going off, it like cuts back to like the very end is this like cut back to like across the water of Jack Hyde standing there alone in the dark, burning a picture of Christian and his family. And then that's the end.
Which I'm curious to see how it will like tie into the third movie. Yeah.
So like very, very much ends on a cliffhanger. Like so you like kind of got the satisfaction of like Jack Hyde getting fired, but it's like obviously he's coming back because it's ending on a cliffhanger and he like is still milling around and like creeping on them. So, but you'll have to wait another year to find out what happens to Jack Hyde, because that will be next April's episode.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is our movie that ends on the biggest cliffhanger ever.
We did it.
So, okay, we got through our movie. So we'll take a very, very quick break and then do our quotes, ratings, and reviews. Okay. Okay, we took our 5-second break.
Yay. I didn't talk this time.
Oh, I'm gonna have to. I gotta go get my quotes. I never like write them in one place. I just have to come back and look at them.
I typed mine on my phone. My God, I have so many. Oh my God.
That's good because I feel like I have. Do you want to go like back and forth, or do you want me to do all of mine?
We could go back and forth. That's kind of fun.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
I have
My
14.
Okay, I don't know how many I have. You might have a
Most
few
of
more
mine
than I
are
do.
most of mine are Brandon though.
Oh, perfect.
He was being
Um,
so over the top.
Perfect. My first quote is from Christian Grey, and it's from the photo gallery scene
Okay.
when he buys all of the portraits of Anna. And when she asks him why, he says, "I don't like strangers gawking at you."
Yeah, it made him seem like so creepy.
He's just so
I know,
fucking
so
weird.
possessive. Yeah, that's a good one. My first one is Brandon. Right away, movie opens like she's answering the door for the flowers. Immediately, he goes, Anastasia Steele is the worst name. I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, we're gonna have to do this the whole fucking movie, aren't we?
Yeah. My second quote is from Lucas, and it's from when they're at dinner right after the photo gallery scene, and he's like trying to get her back, and Christian says, "I want you to take me back," and within seconds, Lucas goes, "But what if it was just a musical and he just started singing, I Want You Back from by the Jackson 5?"
Oh my god, that would have probably made it better.
Yeah, he thought it was supposed to be a musical.
My gosh. Okay, I'm gonna do two right now because they are like kind of basically the same quote.
Okay.
This is back in the gallery scene when she walks in and realizes every picture is of her. She just kind of whispers to herself and she's like, "This is like so much of my face in here." And then later, like a few seconds later, Jose says, "Do you like them?" And she doesn't know what to say. So she says, "They're super large."
Like, that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to like offend you, but no.
Mine is from back when they were at dinner, and she goes on this big speech about like, but how can you prove to me that like you don't have this need to dominate people and you don't have this need to do all of these different things? And she goes on this big speech, and his entire response is, "But I'm working on that."
Yes. Like that's every man's response ever for anything. I'm working on it. Okay, I have another one from Brandon. When Jack, the boss, is just being creepy at one point, she's like leaving the office for the day or something, and
Uh-huh.
he's just watching her walk away. And she's wearing a really like an office dress, it's like kind of tight, nice, like longer, whatever. There's like a full body zipper on the back. And Jack's just like staring at her, and Brandon goes, "It's her boss checking out that full body zipper that he wants to zip from the bottom up." I'm like,
Brandon,
okay.
no. Let's see. My next quote. Oh, my next quote is from their first sex scene when they're just about to start having sex, and she looks him dead in the eye and says, "I'm too dressed."
Yes, when that happened, I was like, oh no, like, oh, oh no, I just was like, it was so cringy. So cringy, and I was just like, that's not something you would say.
I put it in all capital letters.
Yes, it was so bad. I hated it.
I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, I don't remember when this happens, but I think they were fighting about something. And Anastasia just says, generally a good part of communication is that both key parties be conscious.
Yeah,
And I was just like, it's a good rule, usually.
My next quote is from after the first sex scene,
Okay.
where she tells him that she missed his sense of kinky fuckery.
Oh, yep, I had that one too. I was just like literally when she said that, it was so unprompted. Like I was not expecting it, and me and Brandon just like busted out laughing, just were dying.
It's the most uncomfortable line in the entire.
Yes. It's so bad. Okay, I have one from Anastasia. Once again, they're probably fighting about something. And she
Yeah.
said, "You want a vanilla relationship, but you need all of those things." And there's like a dramatic pause, and he says, "But I need you more."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
gross.
right. But I need you more. My next one is from when she's trying to get him to take back the $24,000 check, and he says, I make that kind of money every 15 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. And I was like, oh my god. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. It's just like another way for him to just like let you know how rich he is and how powerful
Fucking
he
for real.
is.
I
Yeah.
have another quote that's that exact same thing. But
Okay.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna do these two again. Two again because they're basically the same. They're both Brandon. And it's right when the of course. It's right when they are showing up to the ball.
Uh-huh.
And Christian tells Anastasia, like, "Oh, didn't I tell you it was a masquerade ball?" And Brandon just goes, "A masquerade seems like the lamest fucking thing." And and I was like, "Okay, fair." And then like 10 seconds later they show Anastasia and her dress and her little coat thing, and he just goes, "I don't like her feather thing. She looks like a goose." And it was like they're her little like shawl thing. I don't know, but it had feathers on it.
Yeah. My next quote. Oh, similar to my last quote. It was when they're doing the auction, and they're like talking about how he donated like a whole weekend in Aspen, like his home in Aspen, Colorado. And she says, "I didn't know you had a home in Aspen." And he said, "I have a lot of homes." And that's it. That's
Yeah, he
really
never
all. What the
elaborates.
fuck?
Yeah. Never elaborates, just is like, yeah, doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Oh, my next one. I think this is also at the party. I think it's after she donates the $24,000 and is kind of like, "Fuck you." Christian Grey says, "I don't know whether to worship at your feet or spank you." And she says, "I think I'll take the second." And then, yeah, anyways, it's just gross.
Okay. My next one, this is actually my favorite one, and I forgot that I had it because I didn't put it in quotation marks, but I'm glad I saw it. When she goes into the red room and it's unlocked and she's just like browsing around, and he comes in and she's like, "It was unlocked," and Christian says, "Well, I'll have to talk to Grace about that." And Anna was like, "Oh, does she dust in here?"
Yes, she like did not know what to say. But I was kind of wondering that too. I was like, does she have to go in and like clean up after he like has sex with girls
Yeah,
in there?
I
Like,
thought it was so fucking funny. Does she dust in here?
Okay. I have oh my god. This is my last Brandon one. So it's like so they wake up one morning and Christian is gone, and so Anastasia's looking for him, and Christian is like working out in his home gym because obviously he
Uh-huh.
has a home gym. And there he just like goes over to the little pommel horse thing and starts doing his little ab routine. And Brandon just says, "Okay, go off, Christian. Show us your pommel horse routine." And then says, "Honey, can we buy a pommel horse?" And then proceeds to look up how much they cost.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yep, that's
Okay,
Brandon.
I love it. Okay, I only have one more. I must have not been
Okay.
paying very much attention to the quotes, but it's from Lucas, so that works out perfectly.
Yes.
And it has absolutely nothing to do with the movie, but it was
Okay.
literally in the middle of the big proposal with all the hearts and flowers, and I'm like actually trying to pay attention because I can tell it's the end of the movie. And at the top of his voice, Lucas, sitting next to me, not watching the movie, said, Alex, Gonzaga is getting piss swamped. And I was like, I like stared at him. And he said it again. And I was like, Lucas, the movie has 5 minutes left. Like, I'm trying to watch it. And he's like, don't you care? No.
That's very Lucas.
Which I just was like dying because I was like, it's in the middle of the proposal. And his exact words were, oh my God, Gonzaga's getting piss swamped. And I was like, oh my God, this is so romantic.
I love it. Okay, my last one is an actual quote from the movie. It's when the sister calls Anastasia to ask what she should get him for his birthday, and this is when Anastasia finds out it's even his birthday. But the sister says, "What should I get him for his birthday? A tie?" And she's like at a department store. And Anastasia says, "Christian already has a lot of ties," which I just thought fit really well in the movie.
Perfect.
And that's all.
Okay. All right. Out of quotes. Now we're on to the ratings.
Okay.
I'm kind of sad that it's just the two of us because I like it when we both get to guess. I'm kind of sad that we both. Okay. But we'll start with Rotten Tomatoes critics meter, which is percentage.
So bad, probably. I'm gonna guess like 18.
You were so close. It was 11.
Dang it. I knew it was gonna be really low.
Okay, now it's Rotten Tomatoes audience.
I also feel like it's gonna be kind of low. Not that low, but like I feel like it's only gonna be like 55.
You're doing so good. You're so close. It's
Yes.
like 48. It's 48.
I'm killing it.
Okay. Now the Metacritic, which is out of 100 still.
Okay. 20.
33.
Dang it.
And then the IMDb user review.
64.
46.
Dang it.
That was actually your furthest one. You were super close on all the other ones. What would you rate this movie?
I wish I remembered what I gave number 1. But I'm really gonna rate this like, I don't know, like 3.
I was gonna say like 2.5.
Yeah. I was going back and forth between 2 and 3. Like, I mean, it's entertaining because of how bad it is, but also like I don't feel like I need to watch it ever again.
Well, like the first one I feel like I maybe rated a little bit higher because it was like very new. Like it was like something that people like hadn't like really seen before, so it was like a very new idea. But then this one is just like awkward. Like the entire one, like I just literally felt like I was like groaning quietly for the entire movie.
Yeah, it was just like one big cringe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 2.5.
Okay. Wait, do we say now whether we would recommend it?
No, I have to do all other reviews first. I'll do those. It's a user reviews and then it's recommendation.
Oh, you're back. What did you say?
Me?
Yeah,
Was
you
I
disappeared.
gone?
Yeah.
Oh, sad. Well, it's their user reviews first, and then recommendations.
Okay. I'm determined to
okay.
do this in under 2 hours, so we gotta go.
I'm cruising. Critic reviews. I'll do critic reviews first. This one says Vince Mancini of Uproxx acknowledged the film's flaws, but said watching the film was enjoyable, noting narrative sloppiness aside, as an outsider sitting through 50 Shades Darker was a reasonably diverting experience. Odd, dumb fun made even more fun by an audience that whooped and shouted at the screen during the sex scenes. I didn't really get it, but I enjoyed the feeling of them having fun, though at 2 hours plus, it's a bit of a slog.
I kind of liked that review.
I did too, yeah. It was like fun. I didn't really get it, but I enjoyed the feeling that other people got it. Chaos and Collins from The Ringer said, I'll give 50 Shades Darker this much at least. The sex scenes are okay. And then Gary Kramer from Salon said, 50 Shades Darker is not darker or better. It's watered down Raincoat Brigade style erotica, even with the spiced vanilla S&M. I like the love the spiced vanilla.
Yeah, I like that review a lot.
Yeah, I like that one. I liked the critic reviews are actually very funny. I like those.
Yeah. Yeah.
User reviews, The Little Songbird from 2007 said, hopefully, as a heterosexual female student in her 20s with a love of film that spreads across all genres and decades, this will come over as a fair assessment of a film that genuinely did nothing for me. 50 Shades Darker is a small improvement over its predecessor, but not by much. The flaws are still the same, but it's not quite as irredeemably bad, and at least tries to give some raunchy edge while not exactly succeeding. 2 out of 10.
It's interesting that she said this one was worse than the no, did she say this one was worse than the first one?
Yeah.
Or did she say better? Anyways,
oh well.
Yeah, anyways, I feel like we were thinking the opposite.
I thought it was way worse.
Yeah.
She thought it was better.
Yeah, she thought it was better than the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird. This one's from Snoopy Style, also in 2017. Said, I had low expectations before watching this, and I'm not eager for it. It's either a low bar to clear or a preconceived notion. There is a bit of both. Johnson is a perfectly appealing actress, but she's not allowed to do much, and Dornan continues to be a stiff actor. Despite the promise of the edgy sexual matter, their romance is boring as heck. Layla could have been a compelling thriller villain, but she ended up as a secondary plot. The family drama is hinted at, but delivers very little. There's a ridiculously undramatic helicopter crash for very little result. I didn't hate it, but I just found it boring. 4 out of 10.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Bevo13678 in 2020 said the book was heaps better. To be honest, I didn't see the movie or oh my god. The book was heaps better. To be honest, I didn't see the movie or read the book, but I preferred not reading the book. Best trilogy since Star Wars, 10 out of 10.
I love that.
Yes. Joe Blow, movie critic. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you ever read the books.
No, I've never read the books.
No,
I've thought about it a couple times, and then I'm like, no, I don't need to read these. No, I'm fine. I will be fine. Joe Blow, the movie critic, said 5 out of 10, continuing with a stellar soundtrack and a sliver more story. 50 Shades Darker is the rare sequel that outshines its predecessor, which we both disagreed with.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 more. Mr. Heracles said, one of the worst movies I've seen in years. Terrible acting, no plot, and pointless sex scenes. I actually was literally like, oh my god, they literally just put a sex scene every time they're like, getting a little dry, so we better have a sex.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely were just using it to fill the time.
Yeah, for real. Letterboxd user Dan said he bought her an iPhone when he has an Android. Green chat bubbles, a new form of BDSM punishment.
That's good.
That is very good. Letterboxd user Sarah said, this deserves an award for best comedy. Oh my god, he didn't even spank her properly. And who the fuck has BDSM sex a few hours after they had a helicopter crash and almost died? I'm crying. 1 out of 5 stars. And that was our final review.
The Letterboxd reviews are good.
And who the fuck has a BDSM sex after they almost died? I love it. Okay. Would you recommend this movie?
Probably not. I feel like I would recommend it to people like you because we could watch it and laugh.
Exactly. I was like,
but
would I recommend it to my mom? No.
Yeah,
would I recommend it to my students? No.
Like, if somebody just asked me for a movie to watch, I'm never going to tell them this one.
Have you ever heard of the sequel? No, I feel the same way. I don't think I would recommend it unless somebody like asked me point blank, like, what's a really stupid movie that is supposed to be like dramatic but is actually hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, there's very few scenarios where I would recommend this.
Very niche. It's like a very niche category.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. We did it.
we did it. All right. That is our second annual April Fool's episode. And like
Yay.
I said, the movie ends on an extreme cliffhanger. So if you want to know what happens next, you have to wait so long.
You have to wait a whole year. But also in between, you can go back to last year and listen to our first episode.
Exactly. But all right. We
Okay.
did it.
Yay. Another
All right,
one
well,
down.
Yep. Hope everybody enjoyed our episode and come back in 12 months for the next one.
Yeah. And don't tell Brandon or Lucas if you hate it because we're going to do it anyways.
Correct. All right.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
We
Okay,
did
I stopped
it.
recording.
Me too.
We made it under 2 hours very purposefully.
Good job. And then when you're done, hit save.
Hit delete for fun.
Oh
for
my
a funny
God.
joke.
I will not re-record this. We will just not have an episode.
As a funny joke, hit delete. And then can I just email it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you so mad?
Brandon!
You're a Naparuan.
We're done. Could you hear us the whole time?
Just sometimes.
Oh, okay.
I heard you say you're
This
not
will be-
telling us something.
We're not what?
Telling us something. Me and Lucas.
Oh, I told the viewers not to tell you or Lucas if they hate it because we're going to do this next year anyways.
Oh, yeah.
And she's saving and emailing it, I think.
Okay.
Large files must be shared with Google Drive.
She's a boy. Hi, honey. We did the reviews so fast because we wanted to do it in under 2 hours.
Nice.
Caesar, you stink. Also, I got very sweaty. Feel my armpit.
Lucas, I don't know what to do.
Fun. And you don't even have to sit in a room with Theo's tank like we used to.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay.
Alex said, as a funny prank, she's going to click delete instead of save.
Oh, yeah, that'd be super fun.
It would be funny.
I said, I will not re-record. We just won't have an episode.
No, I mean, it'll be easier to edit for me actually that way if she does.
Oh.
But audio's gonna be shit.
There was one part that I messed up and talked during the 5 seconds. So I said, sorry, Brandon, let's try again. And we did a new 5 seconds.
Okay.
You'll hear it. It's at the beginning. Not after the intro, but before we start the movie. Are you dying, Alex?
No, sorry, I'm an idiot. Oh my God, Lucas, I literally don't fucking know what I'm doing.
Or the cat facts or whatever. Wait, when were we supposed to pause?
Right before you do the cat's facts.
I think that's when we paused. That's the one I messed up on.
What?
Because I was thinking it was after cat facts. I guess I could stop recording this, huh?
The video?
Yeah.